Right, so this is what we work on yesterday. We need to connect everything together, and since we have all the UI ready, so what next is the functionality. So let me disable this other model for now, so that we can have access to the other content or the page. And what do we want to do here? We want to be able to add the cards. At first, we're not going to have anything here, but once you click on add to cards, whatever you are doing here needs to appear here, and if you increase this stuff, it needs to appear here too. And the way we arrange these components, a lot of them are not inside each other, so they are placed in different places and they need to work on the same set of data. And in React, the way of you doing this thing is by creating this global state here, and this global state then you send it down to any component that needs it, just like the former application that we work on, that 14 stuff. We have the state up here, and based on whatever that is happening here, then you need to send down the states down to each other. And you know that some of the components that we send this state to, they are not using it, but they need to pass it down to their inner uh component. But we don't want to do that in this video, because we want to do something that is nice, or following the standard way of handling states when you are dealing with different components that is using the same state and they are not technically placed inside each other. Even they are placed inside each other, but you need to be passing that props to a component that is not using it, because that component needs to send it down to another one. Is always a bad practice. But how do you handle this thing? So what you need to do here is to have your store stay safe somewhere. So in order for you to be able to handle this stuff, so you need to have like a global store, and you have all your components down here. So for example, these are different components, and now they are connected to each other there. So for example, here this component is being rendered by this one too, it's rendering this one, and this one is bringing out this one, and this one is not even being used by anybody, it's still there, but they need to use the same data. So this one here now, for example, you have this global, which is the app, so you can take this is the app now, which is one that is rendering these two, but these two too, they are having their own component that is going not inside. But there is something that this one here needs, which supposed to cause, if you are using the old way that we are doing it, if our state is inside this box here, so if you want to send the state down here, you have to send that to this component. This component too will send down here, and this one will now send it to this side. But none of these component here, let me use another color. So this is the state. So the way you are going to send it to this one. This one will pass it to this one, then this one too will now pass it down to this. But this is a bad practice, because none of these components here are using the state. This is the only one that is using the state. And if anything, even your state change, you need to, like, React needs to re-render the component so that you can see the updated value. So which means these two components too, they have to re-render, even though what is inside them is not changing, but because you are passing the state through them to another component, they have to re-render so that they can send the updated states down to the component that needs it. But now imagine that these two components, they are doing something that is very expensive. For example, they are loading a data from API. It means anytime they render like this, they have to refetch that data again, or they have to recompute some stuff that is going on inside, and maybe that thing can even take 1 minute to complete. And it means anytime this state change, they will always do that stuff again and again, whereas they are not supposed to do the stuff. So it would be nice if our component down here that need the state, that need this state here, so this one that need the state, it would be nice if you can just go directly and pick whatever it needs, not that you have to send it down through the component that is rendering it. So that's where the concept of state management comes there, because the state management allows you to kind of put your state in an isolated place in your application there, where any of these components can just go there and pick whatever they need from that your state. And we have different stuff, or different library, or different ways of managing your state. We've already started with the state management by using our use state, but that one is what we call local state management, but it's only for a particular component. If you want it to be available to another component, then you have to send it down as props. And that's what we are trying to run for here. We want to be able to put our state somewhere, and any component that needs it can just go there and pick whatever they need are there. And in React, we have different ways of handling the state management. You can use the built-in solution by using the context, which is what we are going to use here. But apart from this, you can use some other external library to handle state. And when you are dealing with state, we have two types of states. We have the client state, which is what we want to actually deal with. And at the same time, we have the server state, which we are not doing because we are not connecting to API. So server state is what is coming from the API there, and you can manage all those things. We have a library that you can use, for example, like this React query. So this is a server side state management library, and we have some other library that you can use for the client, like this context that I mentioned here. You can use Redux here. You can use Sustan and a lot of other state management that deal with the client there. So client means it's happening on the browser. While state means it's happening on the server, then you are not getting the data and it's helping you to manage all this data. But the one we're going to be using today is context, because you don't need to install anything. It's already in React. You just need to create your context and you create a provider for that context, and any component that needs to have access to that data needs to be part of the provider, or you consume it by using consumer. But we're not going to be using the consumer. We're going to use provider to communicate with this our states that is going to be inside the context. But how do you create all these things? So we need to know how to create context, because that's what we need to start with first. So what we're going to be talking about today is how to create context. Then we need to create a provider for the context there. If you notice, when we are dealing with our routing using the React router, you know that we use the router provider, because that is the one that will make sure that that thing is available to any component that is under it. So we too, we are going to create our own context, then we create a provider, and any component that is under this provider, we have access to whatever data that is coming from the context are there. And once you have all this in, you wire them together, and from there, any component can now, access the data from the context are there. So you are going to see how to use the context, and we're not going to be accessing the context data directly. So we are going to create hooks for it to give us the data. You can actually do it by using your use context, but we're not going to be doing like that. So we're going to put all the necessary generic stuff inside one file, and anyway we need to use all the data, we use our hooks, the custom hooks that we're going to create to have access to any data we want to use in our application. So we need to create a context, we need to create a provider that is going to provide the data, and at the same time we need to have the hooks that is going to give us access to the data from the context there like that. So this is what we need to do today. So let me clear all this stuff. So delete and go back to our format screen. So the first thing, the first step is to create a context. So I'm going to create a folder here for that. It's always good that you separate all this thing. If you want, you can actually put it inside this app, but I don't want to do that. So let's do it in a real sense. So there, I'm going to add another folder, because you can actually have multiple context later on. You can have context for your data here. You have context for authentication, like who log into the system. When you want to do this in a real sense, you need to have the user that actually want to buy the product, or that actually want to buy the food. You need to know who is ordering the food, where are you taking the food to. So there's going to be a context that manages the state for the authentication, which is who is the user that is using our application and so forth like that. Again, you can have context for your team switching. There's some application that you can switch from dark mode to light mode. So you have different context for different things in your application here. So I'm going to have a folder here. The folder is going to be context, and inside our context we only have one. So context there. So since it's just one, I will just create a file directly here. So I will have what should I call it? So I'm going to have the product context like this. then dot t are not. We are not doing TSS. So inside this place now, what do we need to do? The first step is so these are the steps that we need to take. So the first steps we need to create. So create we need to create context. And after you are done creating context, we need to create provider. And after you are done with the provider too, we need to create, this one is not the last, this third step is not a must that you do it here, but I'm just doing it inside this place. These are the two major things that you need. So this one too, I want to create like utilities, hooks that we can use in any of these components. If you want, you can just call your context directly from those components, but you don't do it like that because in case you need to make any changes, you don't need to start going into all those files to do the changes. You just do it directly inside this utility hooks that you are going to be creating. And it can be two, it can be three, it can be four, and so forth, like that, depending on the type of the hooks that you want. So the first thing we need to do is to create the context, and if you want to expose it out, then you can expose, but I'm not going to do that. This is the only file, this is the only file where the context is going to be used. Any other thing that you want to do with the context, it has to come from the utility hooks. But if you know that you want to use that hooks, you want to use the context outside of this file, then you can just export it out. So I'm going to call it products. So I will call it this products. Let me start with this capital letter product context like this. So as you can see, the AI is giving this thing, but I'm not going to use this React create context. I will just say create context directly like this. But please, you need to make sure that this create context is coming from React. So this is it. This is just what you need to do. Nothing much when you are dealing with normal JavaScript. If you are dealing with TypeScript, that's why you can be supplying the types. But here, we don't need to supply the types at all. And if you want, you can give it a default value. So here, if you know the type of the data you want to put inside it, you just supply like the default whatever stuff that you want it to hold for you. So out of this one here now, we need to create a provider because that's the one that need to provide all the data that is coming from the context. So this provider is just a component. So whatever provider you are creating is just a component. So provider is just component, but that component is the one that will send out the data that you are giving to this context. And whatever that is under that provider, they will have access to it through the use context. So but I will not be using that use context outside of this file. It will be coming from the utility hooks there like that. So what do we need to do? So we need to export. So const provider. So I'm going to call it products provider too, so that it always, because you know, don't forget I said you are going to be having different contexts. So that's why it's always good that you specify what this context is all about. So when you're dealing with team context, you just name it team context. When you're dealing with authentication context, then you name it authentication context, depending on how you are structuring your application there. So I'm calling this one, and as you can see, it's going to receive children, which is whatever component you pass under it. And any component that is there, we have access to. As you can see, this is what we need to do there. So under this context, once we create it, it will give us access to this provider. And this provider, whatever you give to this value, that's what all the component that is under it we have access to. But I'm not going to be like this. This is not the way it's supposed to be. This thing generate nonsense. But I want to send object, not this thing. So what I want to send is object. And whatever that is inside this object, that's what all these components we have access to there. For example, here now, I can just create a state here. So const products set products like this, you know, which is the list of all our products that we have in the system like that. So here is going to be use state like this, and inside this one I can just set it by just returning what is that save? I think it is products that we name it, which is supposed to be coming from let me see, what did we call it? So it is inside what did I think is inside assets, yeah, products data. So what did I call it? Okay, it is known as products now. So why is it not saying it? So let me close all these other file for now that we don't need. We still come back to them, but Let me close everything and we only open what we need at a particular time so that we don't have a lot of file to scroll through. So let me close all this one. So what I want to return is that product, but now there's a problem because the name are the same. So it's not saying the one that is, so I need to import it with another name. So import products. So as you can see, it's coming from that asset, but there's going to be a problem now. The name is going to clash. So I will just use as data like this. So I'm rename. This is what I'm importing, but I'm renaming it to another thing. So here now, what I can just do is just to return data. So which means this product now, I want to make it available to every like any component that is under this provider should have access to what is inside this value. So what I just want to send, so I need to send the object down. So this object is going to contain products that I want to send. So anywhere you need the product now, as long they are under this provider, they can just come to this context and have access to here. I don't need to start passing the stuff again, like from this app into product. Product will now pass it down to that your cards or whatever list. Any one of them can just go to that, talk to the context, I need this value inside you, give me, and they will have access to it. As long they are part of that context, because it will not work right now because we are not using the context here. We just created we create the context, we create a provider for that context, and as you can see, it's expecting you to pass component there. And whatever component you pass, we have access to this data that this provider is sending out there. So how do we have access to this stuff here? So you need to use context. Because use context is what you use there, pass the context where you want to get the data, and it will go there and fetch the data for you. But I don't want to be doing that inside each of the components. So I'll be creating utility hooks here that return a set of data that we want from the context. So if I want product only, I will just create a hooks that only return product. If I need the one to modify something later on, I'll create a context for it too that do the stuff or anything that's related to product or anything that related to cart and so forth like that. So I will have use cart and we have use product. But all of them, what they are just doing, they are coming to here to pick the data or to manage some stuff under this data that we are sending out. Don't forget, the product is the list of product, but you need to have cart here too, which is the list of the data. So here too, I'm going to have cart. So const cart, then set cart like this. So whatever cart, where's my cart? This is not type of cart. This is going to be use state, and you know cat is just array of what you have here. So which means by default cat is just empty array, but we need to have utility hooks that will be updating this thing or that will be doing whatever it needs to do with the stuff there. So here too, I'm going to send out the cards, and at the same time I'm going to send out this set product. No, we are not setting any product at all. The only thing we can set is the cat. So set cat like this, like that. So what do we need to create first? So let's create our first utility hooks. The first hooks that I want to have is use product. And what's the job of this one? What it's just going to do here is to get the product out of the context. So how do we get the context data? To get the context data, you are going to use context. Then you now pass it to whatever context. You know, you can have different contexts. So you need to supply the context that you want to get its data out. And the one I need is this product whatever stuff. So from there you can now, you know, I only access the context. What I only want to take there is product. I don't need cat and I don't need set cat. So what I just need to return back, return context, then dot product like this. So this one will only give me the product that is on top. But here, look at it, I use question mark because if you don't wrap the component inside context, inside this provider, and you are trying to use product, you are going to get undefined. Before you can use this, before you can use these hooks here, that is taking something from context, this particular context, your component must be wrapped somewhere inside this provider. No, we are not using this provider here. If you use this context, it will not work because this provider here needs to be used somewhere. For example, here now, in order for this thing to work, this provider here, we need to go somewhere in our app and wrap our components with this particular provider, which is something we can do from here. When the provider is wrapping all this in, whatever that is inside this place, we have access to that context. So you can actually go inside each one of them and start wrapping, but that's waste of time. You can just put it directly inside this app because it's a global stuff. So instead of us using this fragment here, what we can just do is to do product provider. And down here too, we close it because it's just like a component. So now what we are saying is that this provider now will provide whatever data that is coming from it to all the items that is inside it, all the component. And what is inside it, look at it. See that we are rendering the children. So which means whatever you supply to it as children, it will render everything and they now have access to what is there. But how did they have access to them? You need to call this use context. Pass the context will come back with all the data that is inside it. But you know that we only need product. That's why we are using this use product. Since we only need product, that's why we are extracting out only the product. So for the cards too, we can actually create utility this thing for it, which is going to be this use cart. And what is this one too going to do? Its job is just to go to the same context again, then only extract out the cart. But it's not only cart that is supposed to extract out, it's supposed to give us access to set cart, or because we need to update the cart and do a lot of things later on. So I'm going to be returning object here. So this one is going to return cart, which is coming from here. Again too, we are going to add some utilities function here like update cart, because as you are clicking here, it will be updating the cart. So we need to be able to update carts later on, which I'm going to set to empty function for now. But we need to come back there and add that. As you are increasing this number here, it will be updating the cart. And when you are updating the cart, we need to know the cart's ID that you want to update. And that's the reason why you see that the products, they have ID attached to them. Because when you want to update something, you need to know which one. Their list is array of value. So how do I know that it's the first one you want to update, or the second one, or the last one? So you need to give me the ID. So based on this, the ID will only be unique for each one of them. So once you give me the ID, I will only find the one that matches that ID, and I will update what you want me to update there. And what are we saving? Because these are very important. You don't just jump into coding. You need to know what you are using. Here now, what we are using is the image of the product. We have the title and the subtitle, and we have the price. But for the cards, you see what we have there. We only have title, we have the quantity, then you have the price. Then this one is being calculated based on these two. So which means our cart now, we save title, it will save quantity, and it will save the price, and along with the ID because that is the ID we are going to use to update it later on. Because when you add it for the first time, it's not there. So you can add, you can update. So we need a function to add. We need a function to add. We need a functionality to update, and we need a functionality to remove. Because when you click on this X here, you need to remove this one, not this one. So we need those functionality here. So which means inside this our use cart, we need to have this update. We need to have this add cards like this. So add cards, which is going to be a function that we are going to update all this in later on, because we come here and create all those functions. Those are the necessary stuff we need to add when we are dealing with card. Again too, we need to remove cards. Let me add item in front of it. So because again we need to pass the function, but I'm going to work on all this function later on. Or let me even do them directly from here. So this is waste of time. So let's just do it here. So const remove this thing. So you need to give it the ID. So you need to give it the ID of the item you want to remove. So this one now is going to do the work of remove rather. So we are sending it out. So anybody that's using cards, we have access to this one. Again too, here we are going to have access to add cards. So what are we adding? So inside this place, we need to be able to add a card. And what are you sending to us? You need to send a product. And out of the product, we extract that whatever we need from it there. So again, we need this update card. So we need this update card. Const update card. So this one too needs ID, because ID is what we're going to use to update whatever card that is there before, like that. So all this one now, let me just remove them because we've created them. But now we need to put all this logic there. So when you call this one, it needs to do something. When you call this, it needs to do another thing. And when you call this one too, it needs to do another thing for us. And what is the shape of the card? Because this is what we need to do for us, this add card. But anytime you click on this add cards, this is the function it's going to call. And once you get that function, you see it here automatically are there. And what is the job? It's giving us products. On the products, what do we want to save on the card? What we want to save there, look at it. We need title, we need the quantity. No, the quantity is not here because the quantity is coming from the number here. So whatever number you have there is what we are representing as quantity. If it is 10 here, it's 10 is going to 10x. So the quantity is coming from here. So we need the title from here, we need quantity from here, and we need the price from here. So which means anytime we are adding any cards, it needs to have this shape. The shape is going to be title, so title will be there. So it's going to have the quantity, which I'm quantity, quantity like this. Again, is going to have what is that price, and again is going to have the ID, because ID is very important. That's what we're going to use later on to update or to remove any one of the card there. So this is, we'll come back into this one, but for now let us go and use this our stuff, which is something I'm not exporting out, so they are useless, and that's why it is gray out. So we need to export it out. You know that you want to use it outside of this file, which is what we need. So we need to export them out. It's not a must that we put inside this file. We can actually put it in another file, but in order for you to understand what is going on, that's the reason why I put it inside this. See now, this one is telling me to put it in another file, but I don't want to do that. So I will just change the name to small letter, because it's expecting me to, so I don't want it to be disturbing me. So let me remove it, because double R, if I don't do it like that, it will not rename, because window doesn't care about whether you are using uppercase or lowercase. So that's why I have to add another R so that it will see it as a different name. And when I press this one again, it will see it as a different thing, like that. If not, window is crazy. It will not see it as different. So this thing like that. So what is it saying here? Already include training project source context different from, see now. Don't like this Windows stuff, the way you used to handle the naming convention. So let me delete this one and try to import it again. So import, there shouldn't be any problem, because window is crazy. Because I don't want it to be giving me that this Momo warning that is giving me now. It's still bringing about. Let me leave the warning. So we, not like it will not work, it's just a warning stuff. So here now, what do we need to use? We need to use this our use product so that we can display. You know, the way we did it before, inside this our product, what we just do is that we just call the, let me go into that product list. You can see now that we are going into different. So instead of us just accessing the data directly like this, we can access it from our context that we created in. But you can actually see the data. React actually make it possible for us to see the data that is coming from your context, but it's something that you have to install. It's a extension that you have to install so that you can see what is going on with your context, the data. So as you can see, we have these components or you have dev tools. Once you go to your extension on the system, so go to extension on the system, this extension, you are going to click on more extension. So from there it will take you to where to download different. I can see I have a lot of extension installed. So just go to manage extension, and once you go to manage extension, it will open the tab for you, and from there you just go to get more extension. As you can see, get extension for Microsoft whatever stuff, but here I already have this React dev tool. So this is what you need so that you can have access to what is showing there, because this one will show you what is going on with your component, the state that is here, or the context that you are having. So once you click on this get extension, depending on the browser you are using, it will take you to that place. It will take you to that place. I thought I was not recording. So it will take you to that place and you just search for these React DevTools. So just search for React DevTools, whether you are using Edge or you are using the Chrome, they are the same. Edge is just Chrome, It's little addition. So using Chrome engine, press it and you're going to see it will come outside. You just need to install it. And see, I already have this one. So I have this React developer tools, which is, so you can see a lot of things that have been, a lot of people have installed it already, which is coming from Facebook itself, because Facebook created React, so it's coming from Facebook. But this is somebody else that did it, but you download the one that is actually coming from the Facebook. So this one, and once you have it, then you too you'll be able to have all these tools that I have on this my sidebar here. So this is the React component. So once you click on it now, it can you see it will show you all your component, and you can click on any one of them. Can you see that our provider is added? So we now have our product provider. So if you click on it, can you see it's going to show you whatever stuff that's inside. So if you look at under the state, you see that we have the products inside it. So you see everything that is going on. The same thing too, by the time we are done with, when we are dealing with car 2, you see the list, but you see that it is empty right now because nothing is inside the stuff. So instead of us going to the product directly like this, we don't want to do that. We want to do it from that our hooks that we created there. So here now we just need to call the hooks. So this is going to be const products. Here is going to be use products. So use products, and it's going to bring it from that context of. So if everything is okay, we should still have the same thing that we have on the screen once we reload, because this that one too is just picking the item from that place. And with this one now, you know that if anything is happening in your application, you know where the data is coming from. Not that here you are doing it here, the context too is doing its own. So when something is going on, that means you have two places to check to know where the problem is coming from. But based on this one now, we already know that if nothing is displaying here, we are going in back into this place to go and check what is going on there. So not that we start looking for different stuff in different places. So this one we don't need it again, because we know that we only have one source of truth, which is this our context that we have here are like that. So you can see the only way this one is working, can see I'm sending only the product. And the reason why it's working is because we have this provider. If this provider is not there, it will not work. So it will just return undefined back. So for example, here now if I use this one, the fragment. So let me return this thing back to fragment so that everything can go back to the normal way. Then save it, and see now it will not show again because the provider that is supplying the data, we are not using it anyway, and we are trying to fetch data from the context, and we've not really provide any data, so it will not work. And that's why you are seeing this blank screen. If you go to the console, you see the error there. So let me return it back. So you're always going to have provider, which is what is going to provide the data. And once the data has been provided, the only thing you just need to do is to extract whatever you need from that context. And that's why we have two uh, utility hooks that to export out the functionality. So we are done with getting data from our database, which like what we just did is like something that can come from database. Then we just fetch it directly from local. But it's something that you can call API, and that API will update your state. And once you update the state, then you see everything here. But this thing is really fast because we are loading it directly from our file, not that we are connecting with any API. But it's still the same logic with extra step that you are going to take when you are dealing with fetching data from the API there like that. So the next thing we need to do, so this our context is not done. No. Let's go there. There is one state that we did not add. We've forgotten about the modal state. So we need to add that state there too. So we need to supply that state. Where is it? Okay, this is where I have it. So I need to have another state again. So const modal open. So set modal open. Because this is the one that control whether the modal is open or it's not open. This one is going to be use state, and by default is going to be false. So we need to send this one out to anybody that needs it. So I'll be sending out the modal. The name you are using to send it, that's the name you are going to use to call it. If you want to change the name, you can rename it to another thing, but I'm using this same name. So set modal open. So this one too, I'm going to create utility hooks for that one too, that do the management of closing or opening whatever stuff that is going on. So here too, I'm going to have use to export const use modal like this, or use product modal or anything. We only have one modal, so I will just say use modal. So here we need to get the context, and here too I can send whatever I want. So first of all, I want to send modal open, which is going to be coming from this context dot modal open like this. So another thing that I want to send out is a function that toggle modal. Toggle means if it is open, close. If it is closed, open. So I need to create that functionality here. I thought, what's the AI is showing here? This thing is listening to me. So where is this set modal coming from? It's coming from that context. So we need to call it from context. So which is going to be whatever you toggle, which is going to be context. But here now, it's going to be context then dot modal open like this. So it will check whether it is open. If it's not open, it will negate whatever the results that is there. So this is what we just need to send out. Nothing concerning that who want to use this thing about whether sets or whatever stuff. So we don't want to expose, because not every time you expose everything that is coming from your context, you only expose the functionality and what they need, not everything. So here now, anytime you call use modal, what you have access to is this modal open and this toggle modal like that. And we can even simplify this in by just extracting them here. I will just leave it like that so that it's clear of where each one of them is coming from. So where are we using this use modal? We're using it somewhere, which is inside this place. So this is where we are using it, because we only want to show this modal if that state is true. If it's not true, we don't want to show the modal. And again, too, it will still be used inside this cart, because when you click on this button, it's supposed to open the modal. And that's why I'm creating that utility hook, so that we can just use it anywhere we need that functionality. So here now, wait though, well, let's see, because here now I want to use this thing outside of the provider here. This is not what, don't let me do it like this. Let me do it inside the modal itself, and we use the CSS to hide or to open it. So it will show, but inside the modal, I will call it here to show or not to show. So it will either return null or it will return everything that you are seeing here. So let me call it, so const here, so toggle modal and modal open. Both of them, they are coming from use modal. So both of them are coming from this use modal. So what do you want to do? If the modal is open, show all these things. But if it's not open, don't show anything. So how do we do that? One way of handling this thing is by using our conditional rendering. So here I'm going to open this curly brace, and I'm going to close it down here. So if the modal is open, so modal open, show everything here, which is our conditional rendering that we talked about. Then the modal is not open, so down here, what I just want to do is to return null. Don't forget React. Once you say null or undefined or anything I cannot, like undefined, null, and all, now it doesn't show anything on the UI. But why is this thing not working? Is because it's on the multiple lines, so I need to put it in closing brackets. Like, oh, it will not work like that. I'm using this in here. I should remove this one like this. So save. And what was the problem again? 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 What was it complaining about? What's wrong with this thing? Look at it. I said return down here. You are is putting, this is the problem. That question mark that I put on the line. So let me remove this one. And let me remove this one. It's Peter that is doing nonsense. See? Peter did not see this code. He's doing nonsense on that line. This is what I asked you to do, but he's doing nonsense on this line. So yeah, let me save it and everything is fine. Yeah, so yeah, now this 1, 2, 3, whatever that we're doing, you know, it's supposed to be based on the cat item. So we'll come back into it later. But for now, let's just, as you can see, it will not show because the modal open is false. So we need to go into this cat too and call this, oh, we don't even need toggle. I think we need toggle. But anytime you click on this button, it's supposed to close the modal. So here now, on click, so when this thing is click, what do you want to call? We want to call that toggle modal. So once you click on that button, you know it's open already, and you click, it will close. So the same thing that we did here, we need to go and do it inside this place. But we don't need this modal open because it's not using it. The only thing it's just using is the toggle modal. So we only extract what we need. But because this one is using the two of them, that's why it's like this. So we need to enter the cat. So where is the cat? So let me close. I think we are not doing anything here again. So nothing we've done with this particular one. This is where wait to come in. The way to do anything here. No, we are not doing anything here too. This one is the one that is rendering the list, and the stuff is there already. So we are not dealing with anything there again. So let me open this one, the cards. So where is the card list? So inside the card list, is that not where we have the button? So where is it? Yeah, as you can see, this button, which is this component. So we need to use this thing there. So use modal, and here we don't need this modal open because we don't care. But the toggle is doing the two work already, so we don't care. Because you know it's not going to open. So now anytime you click on this button, it will open the modal. So on click, once you click on it, just call this function. And you can see I did not call it. It's the function that is going to call it. So now I'm going back to the page, and if everything is okay, let's go back to the context so that you can see that it's updating. As you can see, the value that is inside the context. We have the cat, we have modal open as false, we have products, we have set card, we have so those are the stuff we are sending out. So now if I click on this stuff, can you see now it will update the state and the modal is open. And once you click on this one too, then it's closed. Because you know the toggle, it will check whether it's open. If it's open, it's closed, and if it's not open, it will open it. So this one we always open because we know that it's not open at that time, and this one too we always close because we know that it's already open when you see this thing. So now we've completed this modal stuff because that one is cheap. That's why I work on it first, but we still need to work on the details that is inside it. But before you can work on the details, we need to work on this card. And before we can work on the card, we need to work on this add to cart, because whatever you add here is what you are going to see here like that. So let's start. First, let's remove all this dummy data that is here, because we want the data to be based on whatever that we have on the card. And as you can see, it's supposed to be rendering what is here, not this dummy data that is coming there. So let's pick our card, and don't forget we have a hooks for that, which is this use cards. It's supposed to have s use cards. Oh no, yeah, it's use cards. I was saying something else. So yeah, coming to this card list, where are we using the dummy data? So there's one dummy data we are using. Yeah, this is it. As you can see, we're just rendering 3 lists. So we don't want to do that. We really want this list to be rendered based on the items we have there. So here const cards is going to be this use cards. And I see some other thing that we need to pick from here, but for now, this is the only one I need. Why is it not importing itself? Yeah. So now we are not rendering anything until, but we need don't forget, we need to use this in somewhere else. No, we are doing empty too. So we need to go and use it that there to look at the list here. So if the length is greater than 0, it means we have something inside it. But if the length is 0, it means we don't have anything. We need to show that empty UI. But for now, let me do this one because this one will not show anything right now. So cards, then dot map, we know the list rendering. This thing is not showing that it's a list because we are not using TypeScript, we are using JavaScript, and this thing doesn't know that what is coming back, can you see it's showing any. That's why it's not giving you auto, but you know already that it's array of these things. So it's going to give us cat, and we spread whatever cards that we need to spread. But for now, let me just remove this one, and as you can see, I'm spreading the cards. Or if you don't want to do it like this, what we can just do is to send the details directly. So by just saying cart is the same thing as a cart, or we can just say cart item. So this is the props that we'll be expecting from it. Anytime you say the cart props cart item, then we need to receive it from here. So can receive it, then we now can see all the title and whatever stuff we use them. But for now, we don't have any card, so we'll come back to it later on. So yeah, I will just destructure this card item for now. I'm not using it, but I will come back with it. And I will, so can you see now? Nothing is showing. Again, to this one, we need it for this total because the price is what we're going to be using for this total. But let us add the card item so that I can show you how to do that total. So I will forget about this total for now and let us go back into where we are showing. This one too, we need to update the number of cards. So let's go into that one where it's being used. Where is this one being used? The card list is where it's being used. So we need to go to cart itself. So the cards, that's where you have all this your, as you can see, your cart is this cart length, which we are using this dummy variable. Again too, I know this add cart now needs to be depend on the our cart that is coming from the state. So this is how it's going to work. So all this thing will not be used state again, it will convert to a normal data. So this is going to be cards, no, this is going to be cards, which is coming from use cards like this. So it's coming from use cards. So what do we need to do here? We need to know the length. So what's going to be the length? The length is going to be cards then dot length. So now if I save this one now, you are going to see 0 there. Let me increase this one. Can you see 0? Because the length here is 0, but once you add it, you see that it will update it automatically, because as you change something here, it will be updating this one directly. So let me move this in to this side so that we can see what is going on. What is time? Okay, we still have a little time left. All right, so now as card 2, this is not the condition we need to use. So in order for us to have this add card, we need to check whether the length is greater than 0. When the length is greater than 0, it will return true. When the length is not greater than 0, then it will return. So card length, that's the condition to know whether there is a card is greater than 0. Once it's greater than 0, that one is okay. But if it's not greater than 0, then it's not having anything. So now you see that it will be showing the other UI now, as you can see. So we are checking, we get the cards, which is this array that is here. Array, as you can see, it's empty. We check its length to update this one. And again, too, we are using it to know whether to display this UI or the other UI. If it's not having anything inside it, then that means we don't have any card item, and that's the reason why I'm using length here, because length we always like it will always increase in length based on the content you have inside it. If you don't have anything, the length will be 0, and the condition here is when it is greater than 0, that means you have at least one. So when you have at least one item, show the cart list. But if you don't have, this one will return false, because when you don't have anything, the length is 0, and there's always 0 will be greater than 0. So it will be false, and when it's false, then it will give you empty. But once you have something inside it, then you have this cart list. And we've already connected that cart list. That one too, it will bring out the number of items you have inside it. So we are done with this side too. I don't think we are not doing anything here again in this file. So where we're going to be working on is this cart list to make sure that the thing is displaying the correct items here. So we are not doing anything inside this file again. So what we need to work on now is this add cart. So we need to work on this add card. Anytime you click on it, it needs to call this our functionality here, which is our add card. So which means this component here, this product component, needs to have access to this use card. So from there, it will now add a card. It will send the product. Then from the product here, we extract out what we need, and we do whatever we need to do with it. No, we are not sending quantity here. We know that anytime you are adding cards, that's the first time the cards we have quantity of 1. But when you are updating, you need to give us the ID of the one we add so that we can update what we needed. So you see it. Let's put this in. So we create the functionality here. So what we need to do here is that we need to create objects that we want to add into the card. So the object is going to have this structure, and so this is going to be constant ads like this is going to be this. So the title is going to be whatever title that is coming from the product like that. So, and again, what other thing? The quantity, we know that the quantity is not being sent to us, so we set it to 1 by default, because that's what is going to be there. Again, the price is going to be products dot let me check the name, because the name have to match what we create there. Yeah, so it is price, because you have to use the same name. If you don't use the same name, you get undefined. Then ID too is going to be products dot ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all. So once we are done with the construction, so the next we need to call is this our context, and that we need to set whatever that is there before. So what do we need to do? We need to get the start that is there before, then add the new one. No, we only want the new one to be at the top. The other one will be at the end. So what we just need to do is to set. What did I send from the context? Yeah. So we have this set cat. So set cat. So what do we need to do? We need to get whatever cat that is there before. So whatever stuff that is there before, get it. Then add this new one there and spread everything back. Add the new one, then the one that is there before should be at the end. If you want the new one to be at the end, that means you do this one first, this one will not be. But I always want the new one to be at the top. So that's what we are doing here, like that. So add to cart is set. So we just need to test it whether this thing is working or not. So let's copy this one. We cannot do update today. Because only this one is what we are going to do, and if there is time we update the data, because we need know we are using dummy data there, so we not use the correct data that this thing is saving inside the cart. So now let's go inside the product itself, the product. So we need to enter the product because it's the product that have this add to cart. So products, and inside products we are going to have the product list. Then inside product list we are now going to have product. Consider we do not do anything like props. Look at it now. Assuming you want to use the props now, it means from here you send down to products. Products we send down to product list. Product list we now, but we don't need to do that. Each one of them will go to that state and pick what they need. So this is the advantage of you uh using state management. So this one, wait, this one is getting products from its parents, and you know that yeah. So now we need to call, as you can see, this one too. This one too. This is not the way we are going to do it, but for now, let me leave it like that, because the time is going to show is when there is a product that matches this one inside the cart. You're going to see how I'm going to handle it now. So, but first, let me get the cards, which is coming from, no, what am I doing? So, which is going to be use cards. And again, we need to extract out cards. No, add to cards. Where are you? Add to cards. So, this add to cards is what we need to call anytime you click on this button. So, where is it? Where is the card? Wait, add to cart is a, nah, we don't need it here. This is not where this is not where we need it. This add to cart is not needed here. It is needed inside this add to cart button. So because look at it, it's not being called here. It is inside this one, and this is the advantage of using this utility, so that I just need to call it anywhere it is needed, not that you start repeating yourself. So here I still need to use that. I don't need this one yet. This one needs to have access to the cart, but you need to check whether this thing is already been here before or not. So that, because you can see there's a condition here that shows which button to show. Is it the quantity box or this add to cart button? So because we need to check whether this item is already in the cart before. If it is there, we call update. But if it's not there, we call this thing. So that's how it's going to work. And the function here now that I want to use is supposed to be coming from this utility, because what I want to use here is the same thing I'm going to use down here too. So even this card, I don't need it here. I need to go and create that utility, because I want to, what I will do here is what I will do that same thing here too. So instead of you creating the code here and you now do copy and paste here, why not put it directly under this use this? Anything that you want to reuse, just create hooks for it. And since it's related to cart, I'll put it inside this use cart. So inside this add to cart button, add to cart, as you can see, that's a function. So the function now needs to call, so the function needs to call this add to cart. So it needs to call add to cart, but there's a problem. Which product? It's not having access to product. No, this add to cart is expecting a product. So which means here the product needs to be sent down to this add to cart because you need to have access to the product. If not, so product is going to be products. Because that's what the add to cart is expecting. It's expecting the product you want to save into the cart. So since this one now I have access to it, again to this one too we need access to it because it need access to it. So like I update it later on. So product is the same thing as products like that. So they need access, they need to have access to it. So yeah, this one is going to have access to products. Later on to this quantity box, we are going to get there. It needs to have access to uh, products. So anytime you click on this add to cart, what it's just going to do is that it's going to call that function and we're passing the product. So this one will see the product, extract out what it needs, and it will put it in inside the state. Once this one see that it's something inside the state, it will pick it up. This one will change to 1. Once you add another one, it will change to 2 and so forth like that. Because we only have 3, so which means it's maximum. Wait, oh, it can't be 3, oh, because well, we need to work on this thing very well because it needs to base on the quantity. If you have 2 items here and 3 items here, so that means that's 5, not that it's going to be 2. We are going to change it later on. This is not the way it's supposed to be. But for now, let's leave it like that. So when we are done with the connection, we come back into this one because this one is not done like that. But the way I saw it on the design, it's based on the quantity that you pick, not the items. So if you pick 3 of this food and you pick 2 of this food, that means your cart is going to be 5, not 2. So yeah, now let me save, and if everything is okay, if you click on any one of them, we should see it. We should see something appearing here. So let's see. Let's try. You see it because the states are connected to with each other. You update here, you see it here instantly. So we need to go and work inside. I think this we are going to work on this one tomorrow. This increasing and decreasing of the quantity there because that's what this is what we call it updates. So this one will be calling updates. Again, if I click on this one now, as you can see, the second one will be here. So it's now 2, but this is correct right now. But if the quantity increase, maybe this one is now like 3. So that means here is supposed to be this in 4 because this is 3 plus 1. So the total item here should be 4. And all this number too will be changing. That's what we work on tomorrow. But now let's quickly update the actual data. No, we already have access. Look at the cart now. The cart should be there now. So if you go to our provider, where is the context? Where are you? As you can see now, this is the context. Look at the cart. There are 2 items here. Can you see that the ID is here? So let me expand one of them. The ID is here, the price is there, the quantity is here, the title is here. So we just need to update all this data with this domain stuff that way. So the title will be here, the price will be here, the quantity will be here, and the multiplication will just be what you have there. So let's quickly do that one, and that will be all for today. So where is it? Let me go inside that. That's a cart. So let's go inside the cart. So we need to do. We've already created all this in down. This is it here. We've created everything down. We just need to update the stuff based on the cart item that you receive. So instead of this thing to be this one, it's going to be cart item then dot title like this. So the quantity is going to be cart item then dot quantity. That's why I do all this in that so that we're not even touching all this. This is what you just change and everything will work as long as this thing is being sent correctly. So this one is going to be the cart item then dot what is that? Dot price, and lastly the quantity will be calculated based on these 2 items. So it's going to be 1 times, so which is going to all of them should be 1 now, as you can see. So 1 times 6, this one is now waffle with berry whatever stuff, and this is because those are the 2 things that will click. If I click on the third one now, it will add it to the top, which is now this macaroni mix with 5 whatever stuff, and then you have the stuff, you have the price, and you have the everything. Because we've already worked on the UI, the only thing we just did is just to attach the data. But let's quickly work on this other total. So let's quickly work on the no, we can't work on it today because the thing is based on this calculation here. It will look at everything, the quantity multiplied by this plus each one of them, which we can use JavaScript array functionality there, which you can use reduce to do this. And with reduce, it kind of easy to like, the thing is really easy to do like that with reduce, which is something I can quickly do right now. But I need to explain it better tomorrow. Okay, this is 10,000 here. So what I need to do is to call that. So const, this is going to be cat like this, which is going to be use cat because you need to have access to that cat. Then the price is just going to be, why is it complaining? Is it not imported? It's imported. So the price now is going to be this cat reduce, is going to be reduced like this. So previous accumulator like this. Cards, in case you need that one. So at the end, start with 0. So what is it going to do? Return accumulator plus, so plus cards dot quantity to multiply by cards dot price like this. One, and this is wrong. Quantity like this. What is it complaining about now? Expression expected. What are you telling me? But this is action that this thing is not much. This calculation is not that much. So, but if it's something that is really going to be expensive, that's where we have use memo. No, I told you there is a lot of hooks. Use memory is really useful when you know that the computation you are doing is really expensive and it's something that, because anytime we have to call this component, it will always recalculate this. But this thing is not that, it's not something that is expensive. But if something that is expensive in calculation, then it's better you use memo. Use memo will help you to memorize a value. So when you see that the stuff is not changing, it's still the same thing that is coming back for that props, it will not recalculate everything here. But what I did here, it will always recalculate it every time this thing we render like that. So let me see. So what's this thing now? This is 1 times 25 plus 1 times 6,000. So everything here is going to be 8,500. So that's what we're supposed to have at this place. Hey, wait, oh, no, plus 5,000. We've mixed. So this is 8,500, then plus 5,000. See now? So now if you remove, or let me reload, by default it's going to be 0. So if I reload, which we don't have anything under the cart, it will not even show anything because it will show you this empty stuff. But now if I add this one, you see it is 25 because that is the total. 1 times this one, you get this. Now if I add this one to it, it will update the stuff based on what. So this is 1 times 5, which is 5,000. 1 times 5,000, that is 5,000. So 5,000 plus 25, that is 75. So as you're adding here, this one will be updating according to what you have there. And that's what I did here. This one is just a way. So what I did here on this line is just to move, like look through the cards. Each one of the cards is having quantity and the price. And you know that the entire stuff I want to take from here is this quantity multiplied by this. And that's what we're going to be doing here too with this one. Even let me even finish. Let me do this one sef. So that one too, I can just quickly do it right now, which is going to be cat. Where is it? So this is cat, but that's where the calculation is being done. So it is not just length alone. It's based on, so this one too needs to be reduced because I need to calculate the total number of what is there. So this is going to be reduced. What is reduced? Reduce is a way of you looking through array, but whatever you are doing inside it, it will be accumulating the value together. Whatever you return, it will accumulate it with the next value. It's just like you have 1, 2, 3. So the first one is 1. So it will add it to the second one. That's 1 plus 2. That's 3. No, the next one is 3. No, the result you get here is 3. It will be 3 plus 3. That's 6. So the next number, the result you get from the previous one, it will add it to the next one. So that's what I did here. So look at it. I have this reduce. Accumulator is the previous result, or you can call it that. Or no, it's accumulating the value. That's why I call it ACC. So this is the starting point. This is which value do you want to start with? No, with the first number. What do you want to do with that first number? it will use this one to work with it. So which means the first time accumulator is just 0. It will now be 0 plus whatever I did here. The next time it already have this result, then accumulator will now be the first result you get there. So next time now the cat has changed. So it will now take whatever you have here, add it to the next one. So no another result has come again. That's what you will now be doing until it's done with your array. And that's what we want to do with this total here. We want to multiply this by this plus this one by we want to get all the quantity because we are not talking about price. We're only talking about the quantity. So take the quantity of this one, add it to the quantity of this one, add it to the quantity of the next one, add it to the quantity of the next one until you are done with everything that is inside. And that's what is going to be our total cart item. So if it is 3 here, 5 here, that means the total item you want to purchase here is 7. So 2, 3, 2, 5, 7, 3, 10, that is 13. So, and that's what I want to do here. So instead of it just using the length, so I need to reduce and pick out, add all the quantity that you select. So here now is going to be this reduce. Reduce is expecting, it's just like map. Map is returning a new set of data back to you. But this one, it will return the result of everything that you join together. So this is accumulator, get the cat, and from this itself already, the AI has already feed what I want to do. So this is accumulator. By default is starting with 0. So the cat, give me the cat. On the cat, pick the quantity. So accumulator, add it to this quantity. The first time the accumulator is 0. So which means it will be 0 plus 1. So that means accumulator will now change to 1. So it will move to the next cat, which is this. So get the quantity to know before it is 1. So it will now be 1 plus whatever that is here. So it's now 2. So if there is another one again, it will keep doing it like that until we get to the last one. So if we save this one now, it is still going to be 2, it is still going to be 3, no different. But now when we started increasing this quantity, that's where you see the difference. Or for example here now, I can do it from where we are doing this our stuff. So let's just mimic that stuff by, instead of putting quantity as 1, let's use a random number. So I can just use math.truncate to just give me some random this is math.truncate. So math.random. So random like this. So give me the random number between 0 and 5 like that. So it's going to, as you are clicking on it, it will generate a random number. Truncate means just remove the decimal part. Everything used to come with decimal part. So I don't want the decimal part. So that's why I'm using truncate. So now save it and go back to the page. Then we load because now all this in will not know that the thing did not work. Something happened now. It's showing something here, but it's showing that we've not had because of the state has changed. We've not connected that whether the cat is here or is not here. So we'll do all those one tomorrow. Clicking on this one, and I did not see anything. So something is wrong. So let's look at what is saving inside the provider. So look at it. And that's the reason why this thing is there, so that I can see what is going on with it. So inside it, quantity is 0. And that's the how come quantity is 0? Let me add this one. What's wrong with you? So this one is now 1. So where is it? So this one is 2. So let me add this one. I don't want to 0. You can see it is now 3, but I don't want it like this. Let me reload because it's just like you pick the 3 items, so there's no difference. The first one is at 0. How come? Yeah, so this one is 1. This one is 1. To no, it's working. No, it's random. The thing is generating random number, so it's a log. The thing is generating random number, but I can actually shift it. This is what I will do. I will shift it. No, it's generating between this and 0. So what I can just do is plus 3 like this. So which means whatever number you generate, it will add plus 3 to it. If you generate 1, that's 3. If you generate 2, that's 5. So that we can see it in action. So now add to cards. As you can see, it is 3 plus 2. That means random is coming back as 2. So plus 3. Can you see that it's now it's showing 5, it's not showing 1. Normally if it is before, it will show you 1, but it means you are ordering 5 of this one. So that means that's your total number of this thing you order. If I click on this one now, as you can see, it's 5 again too. Oh, this is 4. So like it's showing 9, not 2. So that one too has been handled already. But it's not going to be like this. It will be coming from all these our this thing that we have here. So not that it will be using this random stuff. So as you can see, the value to the price, because this is 5 times this, 5 times 6, that's 30. 4 times 5,000, that's 20. 5 times this, and this is how you can create all these restaurants that you see out there. This is how you can build their this thing for them, build their application for them. Like if you go to all these standard restaurant, you see that they use what they are using is something like this, and you can use this way to build application. The only thing that is just there now is the hardware part. If they don't want to use the laptop to do the stuff, some of them they are using all these like Android box, but that one is mobile app that you can have. But the same logic is what you do. Some of them, or maybe if you have like someone like uncle or someone that you are close to and the person is doing all that, can quickly instead of you using your hand to do all this thing, why can't I just create an application for you that on your laptop? That's where whatever product they want, you click on, okay, I want to buy or I want to buy 5 beef, I want to buy 1 Pepsi, whatever. You click on the one you want and you increase whatever stuff. Then the team will bring out the stuff like this and you confirm the order. Then you print the stuff out from the receive or the terminal printing. So nothing so this thing that can be used for any of these restaurant or anything that they with buying and selling or the all these item 7 whatever. So the box that the only difference is that they have a dedicated hardware that the thing is running on instead of running directly from the laptop. So nothing is no magic. This is what you just couple together to form what is going on there. So this is going to be all for today. So tomorrow we continue from there and we complete the stuff.